Good morning, everyone. I really like the memes, and they always tell a story. And well, this one is Justin Trudeau in his Indian garb saying, "Calm down, people kind. We've investigated me and found I've done nothing wrong." Yeah, and it's a good indicator of where the electorate is at, and less so now because the social media has become so fractured. But it used to be a really, really good bellwether of where people are. And I mean, there's a couple of places that I've seen this shared, so I thought it was worth showing. The main story today is, well, remember the billboards? The billboards that said no, sir, say no to mass immigration. Here they are, and they've got a big smiling picture of Maxime Bernier, and well, they're being taken down. Here's Maxime Bernier tweeting about this. He says, quote, "The company that owns the billboards has caved to the leftist mob and decided to remove the ads supporting the PPC's stand against mass immigration. The authoritarian left want to censor and silence anyone who disagrees with them. They will fail." And this is in response to Pattison Outdoors' letter. And here it is. I'm not going to read it all. Yes, I am. Sure I am. Pattison Outdoors, it says, a message from Randy Otto, president of Pattison Outdoor Advertising. The criticism Pattison Outdoor Advertising received this past week from the public and the press and on social media regarding the People's Party billboards designed and paid for by True North Advertising Corporation has been overwhelming. As always, we followed the protocol for advocacy advertising as outlined in the advocacy advertising guidelines on our website when we permitted this ad to be posted. That being said, it was never my position, or Pattison Outdoor intention to offend, alienate, or in any way insult the public by allowing this ad to be run. We will be reviewing our advocacy guidelines specifically relating to political messaging. I regret that the decision we made to allow the ad has been construed to suggest that I or anyone at Pattison Outdoor endorses the message on the advertiser. That is not the case. We will be informing True North Advertising Corporation on Monday that the ads will be removed from our sites as soon as possible. Randy Otto, etc. So on Friday, I reported that these ads went up, and well, they're down, or they're coming down today, I assume. And here's a CP24 article reporting on the same, and I'm going to read it all for you because it's interesting. This is news. This is a big deal because this isn't saying anything illegal. It complies with all of the advertising standards. There's nothing untowards about this other than people being angry, and I'm not sure why they're angry. I don't think mass immigration is a positive connotation, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So here we go. CP24 reporting, company to remove pro-Maxime Bernier billboards that criticize mass immigration. The owner of billboards currently showcasing ads that seek to promote the People's Party of Canada's controversial stance on immigration reversed course on Sunday, saying the company would take the material down in response to overwhelming criticism. The ads, featuring a photo of party leader Maxime Bernier, the slogan, "Say no to mass immigration," and a call to vote for his party, started popping up across the country late last week. They were criticized nearly immediately as promoting anti-immigration rhetoric. Petitions have since sprung up calling on billboard owners, Pattison Outdoors Advertising, to take the ads down, arguing that they violate the company's own code of conduct. The company released two statements on Sunday, the first of which said that people who have a problem with the ads should take it up with the advertiser, True North Strong and Free Advertising Corporation. The statement suggested they reviewed the ad content and it did not violate the Ad Standards of Canada, ASC, code or their own policies. Quote, "We take a neutral position on ads that comply with the ASC code as we believe Canadians do not want us to be the judge or arbiter of what the public can or cannot see," the company said in a statement circulated on the social media accounts. "Should advertising elicit a public debate, we encourage Canadians to voice their opinions directly to the advertiser who placed the message, as it is our policy that their contact information must be a legible part of the ad." But later in the day, the company issued a second statement saying that while the billboards didn't violate any policy, they would come down nonetheless. "It was never my or Pattison Outdoor's intention to offend, alienate, or in any way insult the public by allowing this ad to be run," company president Randy Otto wrote, adding that the company would review its advocacy guidelines. He said that neither he nor anyone else at the company endorses the message of the advertiser. Otto wrote that Pattison will inform True North Advertising Corporation of its decision on Monday, and the ads will come down as soon as possible. At the People's Party national campaign launch Sunday in Ste. Marie, Quebec, Bernier said he agreed with the ad's message, though noted they were placed by an outside group. He said the current number of immigrants Canada accepts annually, 350,000, is too high and needs to be scaled back. "For me, mass immigration is 350,000 a year. So yes, we're against mass immigration," he said. The phrase, however, is associated with more than just numbers. Critics of the term often consider it a synonym for opposition to visible minority immigrants on the grounds they pose a threat. Critics of the ad were interpreting it that way. The Premier of Nova Scotia called the tone, quote, negative, divisive, while one Calgary resident who posted a petition calling for the removal said the ads are hurtful to newcomers and don't recognize their contribution to Canadian culture. Okay, and I just want to show you, there's a couple of things here. I looked for negative connotations of mass immigration and just what it's being used for, because they're saying that it's connected to being negative towards immigrants, but there's a whole lot of, it's an economic argument. Fundamentally, it's an economic argument, but there's a whole lot of newspapers talking about Trump and mass immigration, but a whole lot less coming from Canada. This is one from 2019, and it says, "Don't ever question mass immigration or you'll be instantly racist." And this is an opinion piece from the National Post. I'm not going to go through it, but I think it's, interesting that in January this was predicted, right? Like if that wasn't seen as racist, they wouldn't have asked for it to be taken down. But fundamentally, it's an economic argument. It doesn't make sense to blow out all your social systems, make them unaffordable, break the immigration system to the point where people are waiting 2 and 3 years for hearings. This is not a sustainable way to manage a border or immigration at all. And it's so interesting to have this racist lens put on it, because it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with intelligent management of a population and limited resources. Here's an August 2014 article from The Independent, and this is a United Kingdom article, but I was just looking for mass immigration, and it says, report warns of strain on Britain's infrastructure caused by population growth, which is exactly what I'm worried about. This is an economic issue, and yet they want to frame it as racist. And it's so, it's lazy, because it's not. It's not about racism at all. It's about economics. So I looked for mass immigration, and I looked for other things, mass, because in what connotation? When I look at this billboard, I immediately think mass immigration is negative, and because the implication of it is mass, too much, right? Too much immigration, too much of anything is bad. Too much cake is bad. Too much. There are many things that too much of is bad. So immediately, that says to me that too much is bad, but a little bit is manageable, and a little bit is something that is beneficial to our country, our multicultural country, from Inuit to First Nations to everyone in between, right? And it's all across our country, from Francophone to English speaking, et cetera, et cetera. We have a very diverse country, right? Alberta is different than Cape Breton, is different than Newfoundland or wherever. And BC, right? They're all different. They have different feels. And I've never been to BC, but I was in Halifax for a while. So this idea that mass immigration is positive and this is critical of immigrants, period, is just absolutely ridiculous and used to be divisive. It's used to be divisive. It drove a wedge, and that's exactly what they're trying to do, drive a wedge and silence anybody who wants to talk about this. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Here's the United Nations talking about that. Hold on a second. This one. And we'll listen to this as I think the end of this video. I had some other links for this, but I think I've made my point. And well, we're going to listen to this as my final point. Here we go. It's worth a listen to the whole minute and 31. So here we go.
Dear guests, it's nice to have you here on our Strasbourg press conference. And I would like to say some words on the Global Compact on Migration. On the 10th and 11th of December, there will be an international congress in Marrakesh, Morocco, with regard to this Global Compact on Migration. And the participating countries are set to sign this agreement. And although this joint agreement isn't binding, it's still meant to be the legal framework on which the participating countries commit themselves to build new legislation. And one basic element of this new agreement is the extension of the definition of hate speech. The agreement wants to criminalize migration speech. Criticism of migration will become a criminal offense. And media outlets, and that also concerns you, that give room to criticism of migration can be shut down. The compact for migration is legalization of mass migration.
I want to note mass migration and mass immigration are different fundamentally different, okay? But I wanted you to hear that any criticism of these movements, and they've been conflating migration, immigration, migrant, refugee, etc., etc. All these words have been dropped into a soup, and they're trying to stir it up to mean all the same thing. But I'm trying to be as clear and as concise as I can be. But yes, this is part of the Global Compact for Migration. And those who you least want to define it will be the ones to define hate speech. And the screaming lefty mob have said this is hate speech, when they fundamentally misunderstood that this is an economic question and an economic answer that is necessary. We can't just keep bringing people in because we've blown out our systems already. And I've proven that over and over. Mr. Hassan has written letters, and he wrote a letter in I believe it was the end of 2017, could be early 2018, saying that the system is unsustainable. But his motivation for wanting to fix it was that he wanted to bring more people. So it's interesting that we are not allowed to discuss a legitimate platform plank in Canada with advertising, fully legal advertising. It is not allowed. Why? Because a small amount of loud people decided that they wanted to put a petition together, decided that they were offended because they didn't understand. Where and how did we get to this place in Canada when the adults in the room can't even start the conversation because the children start screaming and saying, take it down, I don't feel safe. Awful, awful. We should be able to have a conversation. We should be able to discuss platform planks. We should be able to advertise just like everyone else. They tried this garbage in Toronto with Faith Goldie and it worked. They shut her down. They took down advertisements, etc., etc. I think they're going to try it with Maxime Bernier. No, not I think. They are trying it. This is what this is. So are we going to sit down and say, yes, you lefty mob get to define hate speech? Because that's what they're doing. I say no. I think these things should be up, and because they're legal, they're advertisements that are above board, and they shouldn't be taken down because some people don't know how to organize their own advertisements to counter it. Because that's what a grown-up group does. They get together and they say, okay, we should put up our own banners, our own advertisements to also counter this message of hate, right? Stamp your feet and get your way. Anyway, check out the People's Party of Canada.ca. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful